Hi there, everyone. It is currently the 22nd of September 2014. Meteorologist Robert Spett here joining you today. And today in the tropics, we are continuing to talk about Tropical Storm Fung-wong, but also another invest area located out near Guam. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but let's recap what has happened thus far with our tropical storm here, because it is a deadly storm. At least 12 deaths have been reported at this time, 11 of them as a result of the catastrophic flooding we've seen in Manila and across much of Luzon back on Friday and Saturday. Good news, waters are receding there now. Another death reported in Taiwan and several injuries due to the heavy rainfall that occurred there. Actually, one location in southern Taiwan seen about a meter of rainfall past 72 hours. That was down here towards the south, where you had that moisture inflow wrap around and just hit those mountains in southeastern Taiwan, and well, that piled up and did create some very dangerous flooding. But now our storm system's making landfall yet again for the third time. They're around Zhejiang province in eastern China, just south of Shanghai. At this time, about 40 gusting up to 60 knots. As far as tropical storms go, the winds aren't really a big problem with this. It's still going to be the rainfall, and I think some areas of eastern China here, you are going to be seeing some gale force winds, even around Shanghai. But the rain could be the bigger issue. Some areas as much as 300 millimeters may see that accumulation tally up. And there is that risk of flooding, especially localized flooding there in Shanghai and the poor drainage areas as the storm system continues to push overhead. Good news, the bulk of the cloud cover and the precipitation as well is going to be remaining offshore. See that here on the satellite imagery. We have our center of circulation, but you can see that big cone of cloud cover pushing off here towards the east. The reason for this is because we are seeing an abundance of vertical wind shear associated with the upper level jet. And I actually pushed this vertical wind shear analysis from Sims on here, and you see about 40 to 50 knots all coming in from the west. So that's blowing this cloud cover over like if you were blowing on a candle. The flame kind of tips towards the side, and that's exactly what we're seeing out here. So as far as tropical characteristics with this storm, really that is a thing of the past. We're starting to see that warm front developing off here towards the north. You can see that cold front kind of hooking down towards the south with our low pressure center right in here. So it's still going to be a big rainmaker, and I think the bigger areas actually are parts of Korea. Jeju Island actually could expect about 200 millimeters of rainfall. There's even the risk of flooding and the potential for landslides into Kyushu. As we look ahead with the storm system, and it starts to pull off there towards the north, gets hooked by the jet stream and pulls there towards the east, bringing that rainfall across Korea, eventually over towards Japan, and even by Wednesday and Thursday could impact Osaka and eventually over towards Tokyo. So if you are seeing some showers in Tokyo on Thursday, yes, it's actually kind of indirectly associated with the prior tropical storm Fung-wong. Also seeing some scattered showers and thunderstorms down towards the south, but the good news, those of you into Okinawa, you're going to be missing out on this storm system. Bad news, we have another system coming into the picture, and this is the ECMWF model, and there's something going on with this model. It picks up on our low pressure area off here towards the north. It pushes towards the east, and we have a new developing storm, but in the middle of this low and this low, it has a high pressure ridge setting in place, which keeps this ECMWF model outlook, which is shown here on our analysis, the Meteor Earth app, with this storm system continuing on a due west pattern. Well, let's talk a little bit more in depth on that, but first let's take a look at the satellite imagery. Take a look at where our storm system is now. This new area, Invest 98W, it's what it's being called, could be the next tropical system to develop, and you have it off here just towards the southeast of Guam, continuing to circulate, and we have been seeing actually a fairly decent counterclockwise movement around that low-level center here today. Take a look at the visible satellite imagery. Really apparent, and actually wouldn't surprise me if this becomes a tropical depression in the near future. A fairly decent inflow wrapping around this. We have outflow aloft off here towards the north, so it's just showing a lot of signs of intensification. The other big thing is the sea surface temperature is several degrees above average in this area, actually up into the 90s, about 31 to 32 degrees Celsius here around Guam. You see a little cool pocket just towards the east of the Philippines. That's actually upwelling from our last two storm systems that pushed through this area. That's why it's cooler in the South China Sea, a little bit odd there, but we haven't anything to cause upwelling out towards Guam. So where the storm system is situated, it's just in an environment that is going to allow for intensification. So where exactly is it going to be going? And let's talk about this, but keep in mind, this is my first analysis, and we're talking about a week out if before this would even impact any populated land area. Could see this storm system take one of two paths, either go off here towards the north, the GFS and the NavGem, both have this being hooked by our, well, Fung-wong, as I mentioned earlier, with that other model getting hooked and eventually turning towards the northeast, east of Japan, and really not impacting anybody unless you're on the Ogasawara Islands. The other thing, though, is that that high-pressure ridge that's located over here remains in place, and that would keep it on a due west path. Let's just show you two of the different outlooks based on the models here. We'll leave it at that, but this is your GFS, and it has our storm system pushing off there towards the northeast. That hooks it, and eventually causes it to turn toward a northeasterly projection, following in behind Fung-wong, and eventually it's just staying east of mainland Japan. Now let's compare it up with the ECMWF. See here on our Meteor Earth app, actually taken out towards Saturday on a due westerly track. Showing you even the longer range, this is out to about a week from now, the ECMWF showing a storm system hitting the southern Japanese islands. And this is actually, when the ECMWF has a strong typhoon in the long range, people take notice, because this typically does not do that. So at this time, I mean, let's keep an eye on this, because this could be a pretty potent storm system for Okinawa and the southern Japanese islands if this model outlook was to remain in place. But it's the one model that's doing this. The other ones are not. Everybody's calling for a recurvature scenario, but hey, this is what we're looking at right now. Things could change. It's a week out. It's weather. And yeah, I'll be one of those honest weathermen and say, I'm not sure at this time. But for now, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can always post them down there in the comment box below. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, stay safe out there.